what is introduced by this new version, how encodings are managed for inputs and outputs, and some changes about executable programs generated around MlBibTeX, and some schedule before this public release. And in fact, MlBibTeX aims to be a better BibTeX. The real implementation, that is, that went to complete prototype, started in 2004. In fact, there were some early attempts at the beginning of the 21st century, but the real implementation started at this time. There were many experiments for 10 years. For example, multilingual features, and syntax better and enriched for person names, user-friendly in comparison with BibTeX, some sort procedures very ambitious in comparison with BibTeX. We can use MlBibTeX to give bibliography for documents using the BibTeX package. Also for context, namespace, and dealing with uncertain information. By uncertain information, that is related to very, very old documents. For example, in the Middle Age, years of publishing were not known, certainly. The same way, for example, some authors have a surname identity. And this information is manageable with MlBibTeX. And this new version is still written in Scheme. I recall why. I think bibliography style is a good example of applying the functional paradigm. In Scheme, for example, if you write lambda F2 applied to 1 and 2, you can consider that 1 and 2 and resources. There will be a process which will be applied to the resources, but now we can know which. If you want an addition, present an addition. If you want a subtraction, present a subtraction. It is the same for a bibliography style. You have a book, a title, author, publisher, you have resources, and you have to design a process for those resources. In fact, all the program is organized this way. And now, the new version of Scheme is able to deal with the full range of Unicode. And another change is there is a better interface with Scheme and MlBibTeX. That is a drawback. Some operations are accessible for people who know how to program in Scheme. I agree that is restrictive, but I think within text world there is a good synergy within end users. So I think programmers can help non-programmers. That's already the case for the text language. So, most encodings are available, but with the restriction, most encoding byte-based. For example, no UTF-16. It is byte-based. I plan to do that later, but I don't know when. And another point, if you have a bibliography written using the internal convention of MlBibTeX, that is using XML syntax, you can parse it directly. So in fact, you can use big file and XML file. You can also saving the bibliography of an article as an XML file and parse the next file. But about the compatibility, what is shown previously is compatible, except for the program HAL presented here 6 years or 7 years ago for populating an open archive site. The reason is simple. This site has changed the convention about metadata, and the new version would need a major rewriting. I will do that, but now, not now. In big file, you can use now directives. If you do that with all MlBibTeX, you will get some warnings, but nothing blocking. For example, you can make precise encoding used, and prefix is used for namespaces. That is, in 2 files, if you have the same key, you can disambiguate this name conflict by using different prefixes. With a limitation used with MlBibTeX, because you need the program MlBibTeX, but it's a LaTeX style, STY file. For example, if you want to do that with context, there is something missing in context that can be written, but no, it's not done. So, if you are interested in using this program, I recommend you to explicitly put the encoding. For the generated bibliography for an article, the conventions are: the default is ASCII for LaTeX, unless another encoding is given in the preamble. For the context, UTF-8 is the default, and for the program parsing a big files and getting the XML file, UTF-8 is the default too. I don't know if this is a good idea, but for example, for programs like Lua-LaTeX, C-LaTeX, if the package font-spec is detected, I could program that is a default to UTF-8. That's not done now, but if this is a good idea, it takes me 10 minutes for doing that. So, example, here an example of a web file. You can use, you can notice enriched syntax for person name. That is by means of keywords. You have some letters of Latin one encoding, U umlaut, SZ, and a second example, a Polish reference, and notice a point. The system tries to guess the encoding used, but here it's not precise enough. That is, in fact, it should be 88591, 88512. That for this reason, I recommend you to put explicitly the encoding used. You can use, there is another example. So, these letters from the Polish language. And let's mix that together. MlBibTeX and okay. And that is correct. So, here, and back. But let's have a look on the BBL file. In fact, all the accents and diacritical signs are explicit because in this source file there is no information about UTF-8 encoding. In fact, this is a classical LaTeX file that is encoding this ASCII. But consider this version. So, you can see all the accent expanded. In fact, a difference between BibTeX and MlBibTeX, BibTeX never reads the text file. It just reads auxiliary file. MlBibTeX reads an auxiliary file, but also the preamble of the text file. As soon as begin document is encountered, he stops reading the text file. But he can be informed about the used packages. For example, languages used with the Babel package, encoding used for input tank, Thanks. Visual surprise.
You have a typo in the title.
Sorry?
You have in the Tvardowski title a typo. Tvardowski. So the
Maybe.
Can you show the video? Twardowski, it could be, but no.
Here?
Ciekawostki, yeah. Ciekawostki. Ski, S-T, not TS.
Okay.
See here.
Okay.
You have to.
Okay.
En dat vind ik, dat zou een mooi willen.
It could be Twardowski. I don't know if that's
And to give an idea about interface with scheme, in fact, you can customize the default behavior by some scheme files in your home directory. That is, like often in Unix, you have an invisible file with the same name than the program you are using. For example, to customize MlBibTeX or its variant for generating bibliographies for context. For example, if you want to change the default convention, that is, bit files are supposed to be encoded using Latin 1. If you want to use UTF-8 come default, just insert this expression. And all your bit files will be read using UTF-8 encoding. As another example, if you want to allow XML files to be parsed if bit files are not found, just give this function. In fact, here is a list of functions reading bibliography database file using bib format, using MlBibTeX XML format. So, the executable programs organized around the kernel of MlBibTeX are still MlBibTeX, MlBibContext, MlBibLatex, MlBib2 XML. For some option, PubliWeb allows you to put some additional checking about bib files. For example, the strict syntax, or as another point, the fact that some authors are referenced in a directory. For example, it has been used by our institution to separate publication by the member of our institution as other members. I talked about inexact information you can use with MlBibTeX and MlBib2 XML. That will be possible to adapt that for MlBibLatex and MlBibContext, but not done yet. An argument has been added for MlBibLatex, that is encoding for the bibliography. It has been removed for MlBib context since context only now works with UTF-8. So, that is the present state. Probably there are some bugs, but from my point of view, scheme functions are ready. But I'm very unsatisfied by the installation procedure, and I would like to revise it before this release to be public. And I confess that the documentation is now in my head, but not currently updated. When? Probably this summer. As traditionally, the releases are labeled by geographical name. That is a point under the Mediterranean Sea. And where? If you look at the previous URL addresses I gave in my previous articles, you will notice that no longer works. That was a problem in my suggestion. This site has been closed. That is not for me, for all the people that were using it. So, I plan to use Jectan to this release. Just a tar file with documentation, installation procedure, and a source file in Scheme, and some source file in LaTeX too. So, the adventure goes on with MlBibTeX.
Thank you so much. Questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me switch the
Lights.
lights.
Great. This is the encoding is not working.
Why Scheme?
No. The encoding do not work because of the new scheme. What is the reason why the encodings do not work now?
How they do work?
They do.
I mean, you had talks before. You said that I cannot do Unicode because the scheme interpreter doesn't understand Unicode. Yes? You said so a few summers back. So now you have the new version of MlBibTeX. Does that also mean that we need to install a newer version of Scheme?
No, the release use Scheme is R7RS. Some years ago, the previous release was not Unicode compliant. In fact, many interpreters developed some extension, but that was anarchic. And they were incompatible. That is, for example, the UTF-8 encoding was not managed the same way. But since exactly 2 years ago, that is 2015, scheme interpreters which are R7RS compliant now deal with the full range of Unicode. That is completely standardized. There is no point, Légie, there is no place to
We have to put it up, sorry.
For example, now what is standard in a scheme, you can use ampersand, hexadecimal code, semicolon, and it's recognized by all the interpreters. That was not the case before.
Would this be a complete replacement for the old BibTeX?
Uh,
Working replacement?
Personally, I no longer use BibTeX except for some comparisons. In fact, it can completely replace BibTeX because you can, by compatibility mode, execute BST file.
Okay.
For example, the drawback, you can't not take advantage of multilingual features. That is, for example, write months for Polish reference in Polish, French for French reference. You can do that. But, for example, you can use a BST file with the syntax for person name by means of keywords, as I showed you.
Right.
Since you can run any BST file, MlBibTeX can replace BibTeX. Yes?
A few questions. First of all, you need scheme interpreter, but how many interpreters are available? I'll complete the question, or I'll continue the question. For example, I remember every time I tried, it somehow was looking for BigGlue, and then I tried to compile BigGlue, and there were compilation errors or segmentation faults or whatever, and whenever I tried to contact the developers, there was absolutely no feedback. And the BigGlue seemed to be dead. Now I checked and it says released in April 2017. So I was just wondering what's the status of the prerequisites that your MlBibTeX needs. And then I have a couple of other questions. I'm waiting.
You mentioned the scheme interpreters.
Yeah?
For me, I can use scheme interpreters for programming and debugging.
Yeah?
But the best for end user and the most quick is scheme compilers.
Okay.
I use a transform that is a semi-official BigGlue compiler for R7RS. But one of the reasons for which I want to revise the installation procedure, I plan to migrate with Chibi or Chicken, probably with Chibi. But
What?
Chibi, C-H-I-B-I, that's a compiler scheme, but a compiler without interpreter,
Okay.
just a compiler. But in fact, your question is included into the revision. I am fed up with some unsatisfactory points, but I will solve them before the summer. In fact, I can't answer now because there is some advantages to use CD, to use chicken, to use guide, but some drawbacks too. And 1 week ago, I learned that there will be no official release for BigGlue in R7RS. That is, what I'm using will not be